Gabriel, thank you for taking the time out to do this interview with India Global Business. Um, I just thought we could start out with an initial question about Wiserfunding. Now, Wiserfunding being a UK-based fintech startup, and you being the CEO and co-founder of Wiserfunding, I thought we could start off with talking a little bit about your entry into the Indian market, which has just been recently announced.
Sure. Thank you very much, actually. It's a great question. We started our journey with Wiserfunding 4 years ago, and we focused on Europe because obviously I was based in London, and Europe has a lot of data readily available that we could use for our models. But then quickly, we realized that the Indian market was a very interesting market for us. And by chance, I would say, Professor Altman was traveling in India for a lecture tour. So my co-founder, Professor Altman, was traveling in India for a lecture tour just in February 2019. And when he was there, he could really see on the field how important was what we were trying to do at Wiserfunding. And so assessing and helping SMEs and really putting in the market a better understanding of credit risk. So from that trip, we realized that it was important for us to start looking at the Indian market, and that's how we basically got ready and prepared to enter the market, improving our models and talking with different partners there in the Indian market on how we could move forward. That's what brought us there. We are extremely excited. I think this is probably one of the best moments for us to enter the Indian market, given the current situation that unfortunately this pandemic has created. And so we really look forward to helping financial institutions and SMEs to find a better way to communicate with each other.
I was very intrigued about the AI-based tool that Wiserfunding uses, and I was wondering if we could talk a little bit about that. But I think it's probably best to break this question into two parts. So perhaps we could start out with, if you could please tell me about how this tool works, and then we could go on to basically looking at how it could help SMEs.
Sure. I mean, we are truly a fintech companies. So we have a lot of fin and a lot of tech. They work together as it should be, right? So our financial expertise is all into our models. And our models basically look at different aspects of basically SME history, financial history, corporate governance, and the macroeconomic conditions in which obviously these companies are operating. All this is placed in a cloud-based solution. So basically anyone through an API can access our backend, our engine where the models are stored. And the beauty is that the model can basically retrieve most of the inputs that we need from different databases. So it's fully automated. And that is really in the direction in which the market is going. Speed to offer. So the speed of being able to understand who you're talking to is extremely important. What we provide in less than 10 seconds is an extremely comprehensive business card of a company that tells you just the most important elements, more than 200 fields included in our response API. And that is extremely helpful for any financial institution that wants to understand in few seconds who are you talking to, and if you want to continue to talk to that person. So it's all about taking smarter and faster decisions. That's basically what we do. In terms of artificial intelligence, just to be clear, I mean, both myself and my co-founder, obviously Professor Altman, that actually invented the first business credit scoring model 50 years ago, we're a little bit old-fashioned there. So we don't use artificial intelligence to develop models. companies. We are very much relying on logistic regression. That is what we've always used in our research. We use that to feed the models, to find a way to retrieve structured and unstructured data. And that is basically part of our innovation.
Thanks, Gabriel. As you know, you're probably well aware that Indian SMEs currently are facing a really tough time, particularly the startups. And there's been a serious call for, in terms of funding drying out and companies facing a lot of challenges because of that. So is there a particular way that your AI tool or Wiserfunding is looking to actually address those concerns, or is that a bit far off?
Well, the thing is, our tool is part of the so-called back office. So it's part of basically what any financial institution, government entity would do after having a business proposition towards SMEs. So it is extremely important that SMEs continue to be recognized as a different type of client. So that's the most important thing. And we're seeing some good steps in that direction, but I still think there is a lot to do to get there, right? So the first thing that needs to change is a business proposition, products and channels specifically developed for SMEs. We follow that, right? We are just an enabler of that type of proposition. And when that is well placed, then SMEs benefit tremendously. And what we could do with our tool is actually really improve the efficiency of the overall market. Because like in any economic market, when you are able to allocate funds in a more efficient way, then the whole market would benefit. And that is really where we as Wiserfunding can really add value.
Let's talk a little bit about your game plan for the Indian market. So how do you see your product evolving in the Indian market, or what are your future plans for the Indian market going forward?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we just opened the office there in Mumbai, and obviously we have appointed our country head, Avantika Goel, that is going to lead our operations there. Now, the next steps is obviously start to find strong and credible partners that can help us develop our proposition, improve our models. From our side, what we are going to do is to basically work on the technology and try to automate as much as possible. We have already done quite a lot, but continue. This is a never-ending process, to be honest with you, because new input data come out almost on a daily basis. And so it's extremely important that we can find these inputs and also find a way to bring them into our models in an automated way. So improve constantly the way we assess the credit risk of companies. That's going to be our objective. So we're going to build a team very soon there, start developing some technology specific to India, and continue to talk to all the main players in the market to make sure that fairly soon they can understand the quality and the value that our proposition can add to their own lending.
I was very intrigued to actually figure out a little bit about how you plan to create a niche for your product to gain traction in the market. Now, India has its own domestic players, some of them incredibly strong players like Paytm and PhonePe. So what exactly do you see your product having this sort of distinguishing factor that might give it an edge in the Indian market?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this, to be honest with you, applies to India as pretty much all the markets where we operate. Our focus on SMEs. And SMEs for us are companies with a turnover pretty much between $1 million and about $200 million. So it's a very important niche for everyone. I mean, most of the government policies in India as well as in Europe have been focused on that niche. And that is the one that, we want to serve best. all our models have been focusing on that niche, and we want to continue to build services for that specific niche. So obviously, also in India, open banking is becoming a reality. There are new point data. So we truly believe that with the power of our models and the technology, we can change a lot of what is happening in the market.
Gabriel, I'd be fascinated to know a little bit more about the Indian fintech market as you see it. Are there any particular untapped potential or opportunities within the Indian fintech sector that you think have been ignored, or something that you would be eager to explore in the future?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have been fascinated to see and learn more of the Indian fintech market. It is developing an extremely fast pace, and you can see really a lot of companies that have got an incredible proposition, are developing very quickly. A lot of incredible skills, to be honest, there in the market. It's quite important if you want to grow and develop. So there are fantastic opportunities. That's for sure. And we actually want to partner with as many as possible fintechs. That is something that we experience here in London since we started our journey, and is actually truly incredible when you can really build up connections and collaborate with other fintechs that are around you. So we hope that this is going to be something that is going to happen for us also there in India.
Let's talk a little bit, and this is my final question to you, about your experience in terms of expanding your business to India. Now, I know that this is a fairly new process right now for you. You've just set up shop in India. But I'm intrigued to know, are there any takeaways that you might have for other companies from the UK looking to enter the Indian market? What has been your experience as of now getting into the Indian market? Has it been smooth, or has it had some challenges?
Well, I mean, as usual, there are always, challenges. We've been preparing for quite some time, to be honest. It is something that should not be just done in rush. I think it requires quite a lot of preparation, a good understanding of the market. We did a lot of market research, understanding, who were the potential clients, competitors. So the landscape is extremely important. We were fortunate enough to have already with us Avantika, that obviously was experienced of the market, knew the market very well, and could help us to design our proposition since the beginning. So these are key element, and obviously then there is all the bureaucracy attached. So obviously opening a company requires time, and you need to find the right suppliers and all that. But I think we solved all this quite quickly. So quite happy the way this is gone, and I must confess also the Department of International Trade has been supportive since the beginning. They got in touch very quickly. So we are receiving also a good amount of support from the UK authorities.
Thank you, Gabriel. This has been such a pleasure to have this discussion with you.